I'm also really gonna start trying to put my whole Katusi into making YouTube videos. So before I start talking about this, I just want to say the reason why I took so long making this video is because I was still trying to get used to things in my new job. I kind of am still, but now I'm locked in, relatively anyway. So I am in content creation mode. And also, I saw this background on VTube Studio, and it reminded me of a skin that I have on Valorant. So I don't know if that's the tism or not, but I ain't changing it. So hope you enjoy. So, an interesting thing for me to watch personally on YouTube is videos about people talking about their ADHD experiences. Not necessarily doctors explaining what ADHD is, because I think I have a pretty decent grasp on it at this point, even though there's still more research coming out every day about it. But some of the content creators I've watched are the likes of Ice Cream Sandwich, like Jaden Animations, like Markiplier, and some things they all have in common is they all found about they all found out about their ADHD in their near adulthood to kind of going into their adulthood. And the thing that differs with me is I learned about my ADHD back when I was a kid at like 6, I want to say. But also, interestingly enough, I had a concussion when I was 6 that actually led to temporary amnesia. So who's to say how I would have turned out if I didn't have that concussion? But that's not that's not the point of this video. For me personally, with ADHD, it didn't really start affecting me that much until I got to about 19, I want to say. After that, it felt like it really just started to get overall worse over time. And I'm only 23 now, so it hasn't really just been like an entirety of my life type of thing that I just haven't been able to focus to an incredible degree. But I remember back when I first started taking the medicine, it didn't really feel like I needed it, honestly. Also, the fact that I got bumped up to 50 milligrams of Adderall as like an 11-year-old, that was, don't do that to your kids. But to my folks' credit, back then, ADHD wasn't necessarily that researched into. They also had ADD as well. Now I've been told by my doctor that it's really just ADHD and all the symptoms that are like involved with it. So I think now, obviously with there being more research, that now is definitely more of a time to get into like a doctor's office and see if you have it. Because so far there haven't been really that many repercussions for me. Ice Cream Sandwich said they hooked him up to like a fucking brain monitor and told him to sit still for like 30 minutes. Let me tell you, if they would have tried to tell that to me, absolutely not. Y'all would have had to like strap me down and force me to be still, because even now I'm shaking my leg. But I don't know if that's anxiety or what. But yeah, I remember there was one specific day I was going to school, and I think that day I had forgotten to take the medicine or something like that. Because that day I was a lot more outgoing. People were interacting with me more. I was also interacting with them more, but that's probably because, once again, 50 milligrams of Adderall, you should not be giving that to a kid. It made me feel like I was an absolute zombie. And that's why for the longest time, I was actually against taking ADHD medicine, because I thought that's just how it is. I didn't realize that it can actually genuinely help people who need it, including me. But yeah, I stopped taking it that one day, and it was like a completely different experience. And the next day I took it, it was like, I don't know, people didn't want to interact with me. I had no interest in interacting with anybody. So after that day, I just completely stopped taking it altogether. And I don't know if my folks ever really found out about it. I know at a certain point, we just didn't get any more refills for the medicine. And so I feel like they would have had to have known. But once again, I didn't really have that many issues back when I was a teenager, but also I kind of see the signs where I needed it, right? Because I would literally get home every day. At the time, Jacksepticeye was making 2 videos a day. I would watch both of those, and then I would hop on GTA 5 and play that from the time I got done with those videos to the time I went to sleep. completely ignoring all of my homework, by the way. Yeah, don't be like me, kids. And I feel like that's probably why I felt like I didn't need the ADHD medicine, because I wasn't doing anything that necessarily needed to be focused on. And whenever I did do something that needed to be focused on, it was like, I don't know. I think Markiplier said it the best.
It's the part that I've talked about before with ADHD, where you can want to do something and you can be at the place where you're like, everything is set up for me to do this thing. There's nothing in the world I want more than to do this thing that is in front of me. And for me, it's like any kind of work, anything like that. But if I'm staring at the problem, I go back to when I was a teenager and I was like trying to practice trumpet, and I was in my room, my trumpet was in my hand, the chair was there, and it's the closer I got or I pushed myself to do that thing, the more there was sandpaper rubbing in my brain. I had a physical, visceral reaction that pushed me away. But the part of that that's not necessarily just like that struggle, there's another voice in my head that's like, you are pathetic and worthless. Why can't you do this thing? You're fighting with yourself because you're like pushing yourself to do it. Your body and the subconscious mind is rejecting against it. And it's that abrasion that causes this crippling inability to do anything.
And this is obviously with stuff that I didn't want to do anyway. So of course I'm not going to pay attention. But what I noticed is with the things that I really want to do, like stream and edit videos and stuff like that, I just could not do it. There would be this like grating thought in my brain every single time I would sit down to do a video, and I just could not. There was nothing in the world that could sit and make me do that. Well, make me sit and do that, not sit and make. Anyway, so about a month ago now, probably 2 months, I'm bad with time, I started taking my ADHD medicine after getting my evaluations and stuff like that. And it was great. I was on 10 milligrams. And let me tell you, that first day of getting on the medicine, oh my God, I felt like I could do fucking anything. It was genuinely amazing. That was the day I sat down and I edited that channel trailer video. And it took me maybe, whereas it would have normally taken me literally 2 weeks to even get started on the fucking thing, I started on it and edited it within like 3 hours, I want to say, which is an amazing record. I think that was probably the fastest I've edited a video. The only other thing I've edited is like a Fierce to Fathom thing, but that was only a minute, and I don't know why that took me like 3 hours. But once again, wasn't medicated at the time, so eh. But yeah, the issue though, after that first day of taking the 10 milligram, is I just could not, like, I could tell that it was doing something, right? But don't ask me to focus on anything, because it just wasn't doing enough. Now I'm on 20 milligrams and it's so much better. Like, it's nice being able to focus throughout the day instead of like an hour after taking the medication. So as a whole, if you think you have ADHD, I'd say definitely go and get it looked at. There's no repercussions. I don't know if they're gonna hook you up to a brain monitor like they did with Ice Cream Sandwich. I surely hope not, because that sounds like genuine torture. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But yeah, those are my experiences with it. And overall, it's not really necessarily that much of an obstacle for me now. It definitely was a few years ago when it started to get worse and just kept getting worse. But I think now I'm at a good point. I can actually sit down and edit a video, and I can actually stream whenever I want to stream. There's no grating voice in my head being like, I know you want to stream, but this YouTube video is actually much more important. And there were also some other issues that I was going through at the time that kind of affected that as well. But I don't know if I want to talk about all that yet. It will definitely be talked about in the future though. So yeah, that is going to be it for me. Y'all have a good one now.